I'm going to be honest, I haven't actually thought of the answer to this question. So this is going to be a journey. There's going to be a journey between you and I. Let's figure this out together. Hello and welcome to FTTR. I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about WWE The Royal Rumble 2025. My favourite event, probably the pro wrestling calendar, because it is just so much fun. It's full of surprises, it's full of energy most of the time, and it's full of just intrigue, and people usually get really excited for the Royal Rumble. And I think this year a lot of people were excited for the Royal Rumble, in particular the men's match, and I've watched them now and I have some thoughts, hence the title of this video, the Royal Rumble 2025, underwhelming or a masterpiece? Before we dive into that, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below. I'll try to reply to every single one of them as we dive into this, starting with my overall thoughts. So overall, and I'm just talking about the Royal Rumble matches this year. I'm not talking about the tag match. I'm not talking about the ladder match just yet. That could be a video unto itself. This is about the Royal Rumble matches. I feel like the men's match is going to be the most polarizing. I think that is going to be an incredibly polarizing match moving forward from the finish, from the way things played out. I think it's going to be incredibly polarizing to fans. The women's match, I genuinely, let's start with that actually. Let's start with how I feel about that. The Women's Royal Rumble. Underwhelming. I genuinely think the Women's Royal Rumble was insanely dull, to be honest. I thought it was really, really dull throughout. From like 1 up until Jordynne Grace came in, I was just underwhelmed because there wasn't much happening. There was no sort of through line, no sort of stories. I really liked the bit with Maxine Dupree. I think that was one of my favourite bits of the match. Same with some of the bits with Chelsea Green. But overall, just that bit of that Rumble match was just like mid-carder, undercarder, mid-carder, Pure Fusion Collective, and it sort of just washed over me, unfortunately. And that comes into my big problem with that, and the big problem with the Royal Rumble in general this year is Def Rebel have to answer for things, because the amount of music that was playing, and I had no idea who was coming out because it was just generic stock nonsense, was embarrassing. I was trying to figure out who people were, and I was like, I'm not getting that reaction. You don't have the Tron so you can see their names, and then you get that juxtaposition when later on you get either Jordynne Grace coming in and her siren hits, or you get Alexa Bliss's music hitting, or Charlotte's, and everyone is familiar with those tunes and those rhythms that people can get excited. But the amount of people who came out to near enough no pop, Ivy Nile, Julia, for crying out loud, because of these underwhelming themes, I think is a big problem, particularly with the Women's Royal Rumble. And the Women's Royal Rumble, as it went on, you got bits that I loved. I loved Alexa Bliss coming back. I loved Jordynne Grace making her second Rumble appearance and hitting the slam on Piper Niven. I thought that was amazing. Jordynne Grace was my MVP of the match. I like some of the stuff that Stephanie Vaquer did. I like some of the stuff that Julia did, but Julia didn't get. I feel like Stephanie got more shine than Julia did, and Julia's like the NXT Women's Champion. And I really loved Roxanne Perez throughout the match. I thought she was amazing, particularly in the finale. But my big issue with the Women's Royal Rumble stems from one spot, and that is when Nia Jax eliminates 6 people at once, because she didn't just eliminate 6 people at once, she eliminated people who would have made the ending more interesting, like Belair. Having her in the mix, she's a viable contender, a viable winner. And when it was Nia, Charlotte and Roxanne, I was like, It's Charlotte, isn't it? It really is Charlotte. And Charlotte won. And it was just, a little bit underwhelming. A little bit underwhelming, to be honest. Same with the number 30 spot for both Rumbles. I think were very underwhelming. Like Nikki Bella. Swap Nikki Bella and Alexa Bliss. That's all you needed to do to fix that, because why was Nikki Bella 30? People were obviously expecting Becky Lynch, AJ Lee, Jade Cargill. Maybe that's on us for expecting those things, but they've hyped up number 30 as a big one, and getting Nikki Bella coming back, it's not that what's the word, surprising, and we know she's not going to win. So I think that third swap her and Bliss, sorted. Charlotte as the winner. I think in the final 6 that there were after Nia Jax eliminated everyone, I think she was the obvious choice to go, obviously against Tiffany, and that'll be a good match. I'm excited to see that. But the match overall, I don't think it built stories either. I don't think we're going to get a big story coming out of these things. This particular schmoz of people, you got to further the Julia, Roxanne, and Bayley stuff that will be happening. But I thought it was really disappointing, unfortunately, the Women's Royal Rumble. And I think that just shows with how it's been booked. Not many people declaring, not many stories going into it. It feels like an afterthought, and it was the afterthought Rumble when you've watched it in full. And that's a shame. In regards to the Men's Royal Rumble, it is polarising, man. It is polarising. We'll talk about the winner at the end, but I will say, for the Men's Royal Rumble, I loved quite a lot of this stuff. I thought it was great. Penta and Ray, I thought was awesome. Bron Breakker coming in, being awesome. Having Sheamus come in, being awesome, and getting that the meat fest going on in there. I loved that. Jacob Fatu looked like a badass. It was really well put together until there. And then Roman came in, and it escalated more. Obviously, we've got Joe Hendry as well. Say his name, and he appears. That was an awesome little cameo. I wish he'd done a little bit more. But when Roman came in, he starts throwing people. You got my favourite spot of the match. My favourite spot of the match was when Roman's eliminating all these people, and he has the stare down with Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker's over his shoulder, and they run at each other, and Bron spears Roman, and you just get that shot of Paul Heyman's face. I thought it looked fucking sick. That was the coolest part of this entire match for me. Anything that came later, anything that came before, spot of the night for both Rumbles. I loved it so much. And then you had that cool bit where all the stars come in. You have Punk, Cena, Rollins, all 4 standing around, and they're just going after each other. John Cena, you need to answer for your expressions here. He was on full animated goofball mode. Toned it down a little bit towards the end, but my God, when he first comes in, he is on full John Cena animated goofiness, and it looked a little bit weird. But when they're all going at one another, you're in the moment. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. And that last 10 was really stacked. Drew, Priest, Sammy, LA Knight, Logan Paul was amazing. But then you had this stretch, this weird stretch at the end where really big names would just get eliminated unceremoniously. Like Sammy, like Priest, like LA Knight, and like Drew, which I think is the biggest offence here. Drew just getting chucked over the ropes. I think it was right after someone's entrance, and getting no sort of thingy with Rollins, no sort of acknowledgement of Roman, and a big stare down with anyone, or a slight team up with Rollins. None of that stuff was acknowledged. He was just gone. He was just thrown out. And it was by Priest, of all people. Surely it would have made more sense if it was done by Roman. That was weird. We got no Kevin Owens interference or anything with Sammy. Sammy was just sort of dumped over. LA Knight was just dumped over by AJ Styles. And it was this weird stretch where all these guys were going out. I was like, oh, this is a bit underwhelming. And then you got to the spot. And this is the bit where it's sort of, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And that is where Roman is trying to eliminate Seth. They're both over. Punk eliminates them both. Crowd goes wild. Logan Paul eliminates Punk, leaving the final three as Cena, Logan Paul, and Jey Uso. I get it. I get it further in the story, and the way it played out, they were all brawling on the outside. The stomp that Rollins did to Roman on the outside looked amazing. I like them brawling. But it leaves you with a final three that, in my opinion, is a tad underwhelming, of Logan Paul, Jey Uso, and John Cena. Because I'm not a massive Jey Uso fan. I like Cena, but I didn't want him to win this Rumble. And obviously Logan Paul's a prick, and I don't want him anywhere near my wrestling product. So when he was eliminated, I was happy, and then it came down to Jey Uso and John Cena, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. They had a nice sequence. John Cena, again, being very animated, being very goofy. Him being goofy doesn't sell the seriousness and the stakes of what he's in, which I think is the issue. And then they have a nice sequence. Cena goes to hit his 5 moves of doom. They end up on the apron. Brawling. Cena gets Jey up in the attitude adjustment on the apron. Jey slips out and just pushes him off. And Cena's looking shocked. I thought that bit was really well done, of Cena's facial expressions there and him selling what has just happened. And Jey Uso wins. I think, in terms of mass appeal and what you are doing, Jey Uso is the most popular star. He gets the biggest reactions. He gets the biggest merch sale. Everyone loves Jey Uso, and I feel like dear Evan Hansen, because I'm on the outside always looking in, I don't get it. So I think it makes sense from that decision. I think it makes sense for Cena not to win the Rumble, but I couldn't help just feel a little bit deflated. There was the initial shock of, oh my god, they've given it to Jey Uso, and then there was the, oh my god, they've given it to Jey Uso, because I don't have an interest in seeing Jey Uso versus Gunther again after Gunther just beat him clean at Saturday night's main event. I don't really have an interest in seeing Jey Uso versus Cody either. So I'm left with two matches where I'm like, I don't particularly want to see either of you. If Roman was still champion, I think I'd be more on board with this decision. If, obviously, because Jey would have more personal connections there, but he doesn't really have a personal connection to Gunther. Slight personal connection to Cody, but that I mean one of them having to play the heel. So it looks like it's going to be Gunther. And I don't have an interest in seeing Jey Uso versus Gunther at WrestleMania. Granted, Gunther's amazing. I don't think Jey's great in the ring. Gunther can probably carry him to a really good match. But that's where it differs. You've got my opinion, who's like probably a smarky, annoying wrestling fan who talks about it on the internet. Then you've got the people in the buildings who are going to go mad for Jey Uso winning. So I do think, overall, the men's Royal Rumble, the winner, probably a masterpiece, because you are going to get an insane reaction when he wins that belt at WrestleMania. It's just not for me. So it's two things. You've got an underwhelming, you've got a masterpiece. It's like, I feel like we can't have two good Rumbles. When was the last time we had two good Rumbles in one night? I genuinely can't remember, because one always feels underwhelming. Last year, I think the women's was better than the men's. The year before that, I think the men's was better than the women's. So it ebbs and flows. It seems like we can't get either. And yeah, how do we put it? Whelmed, I guess. If you even underwhelmed and masterpiece and you even them out, I guess I'm whelmed by the Royal Rumbles. Yeah, I want to know what you guys think about Jey Uso winning. I think it's going to be a big talking point in the days to come and in WrestleMania season. I do appreciate that it was a surprise. I think everyone, when it was Jey Uso and Cena, did think Cena was going to win. So I appreciate that they did pull the rug out from under us. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. It's strange. It's weird. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Were you a fan? Were you not? Let me know and I'll try to reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.